Hey everyone, welcome to another Daily Dose. So we've been walking through the Sermon on the Mount, and today we get into chapter 6, and the whole Sermon on the Mount is Jesus calling us to live in a countercultural way, to live for his kingdom instead of the kingdom of the world. And today he's starting to address 3 different areas that we are called to walk out, but not in a way that attracts attention to ourselves. That we aren't doing things to get recognition and fame and adulation from people around us, but rather that we have correct motives in what we're doing. And so Matthew chapter 6, verses 1 through 4, he says this. He says, be careful. Another translation, he says, beware. And I think anytime that Jesus uses something like that where he says beware, we should probably take notice. But he says, be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets to be honored by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. And so he starts in verse 1 giving kind of an overarching theme that he's going to hit on in the next couple daily doses that we're going to be looking at as well, where he says, I've called you to righteousness. We should be pursuing righteousness, but we don't live that out in a way that is blaring trumpets so that people notice what we're doing. Right? Sometimes our acts are done in public, right? Our righteousness should be lived out for other people to see, and that's good and honorable. But if our motive, the whole reason why we do something is for the sake of others seeing them, then we're missing out on it altogether. And it says then there is no reward, because the reward that we're getting, we've already gotten, and that's recognition from other people. And so then he specifically gets into this topic of giving. And he talks about how we as followers of him should be giving. And he doesn't say if we give, he says when we give. And when we give, we shouldn't be doing it. And he gives just an amazing image, like we're blaring trumpets in order to get recognition. Like, can you imagine that? Like as the offering plates go by, or you're going up to give someone on the street something, and you're blaring a trumpet so that everyone around you can see. He says that's what hypocrites do. And that word hypocrites, where that came from, it's originally a Greek actor who would play various roles wearing different masks. And so they would be one thing in one area where they would have one mask, and then they would go and play a different role and have a different mask. And he's saying, don't be like that. Don't put on masks and don't do things in such a way that is like an actor just playing a role, but be authentic and be real. And when you give, don't give in such a way that draws attention to yourself. You know, I think about the trend that's going on, and if you're on social media at all, you've probably seen video after video of people trying to be generous to homeless people on the street or things like that, but the whole time they're filming themselves in every way as they give to these people. And it's like, you're kind of missing the point of giving. It's not so that you can get fame and recognition from people watching your video of how generous you are. No, the call is just to be generous. And so for us as Christians, when we give, the challenge is that we wouldn't be doing it so that others would think better of us, but that we would have a heart of sacrificial giving and generosity that comes from the Lord and goes back to the Lord. That we would realize that everything we have is a gift from him. That everything that we've been given is not something that's just ours to hold on to and to have closed-fisted resolve towards, but rather that we would be open with everything, including our money, in a sacrificial way, that we would give to those in need, that we would give to the ministry of the church, so that the Lord would be able to use that to draw others to himself. You know, ministry in the church, back then and to today, takes place as a result of faithful and sacrificial giving of his people. And so we've been able to see that as a testimony here at this church, that people have been so generous to the work that God is doing, and we're able to see ministry take place. But even in our own lives, as we are called to give, let's do it in a way that doesn't give recognition to ourselves, but rather it just gives all the glory and all the honor to the Lord, because he is the one worthy of it. And it says that if we do that, then there will be a reward. And this is not a prosperity gospel that says if we give, then we'll, get a lot in return. Where it says that if we give to the church, then we are going to have everything that we could ever possibly want. That's not what this is saying. The reward is eternal. Because you see, adulation from other people is a fleeting thing. It comes and goes. It does not satisfy. But something that comes from the Lord is eternal and good and satisfying. And so our hope and our goal in everything that we do is that we bring him glory. And that includes our giving. So let's give with that heart as we continue in this giving season.